Did you know that more than 1 million people are expected to leave Australia's major cities like Sydney and Melbourne before 2026? That's not just a few families packing up. It's a mass migration that's shaking up the nation's urban landscape. But why are so many people walking away from the places once seen as the heart of opportunity? The reasons go far beyond traffic or high rent. We're talking about hidden pressures, rising fears, and even unexpected changes in how people want to live. Some of these reasons might already be affecting you without you even realizing it. In this video, we'll uncover the top 10 reasons why millions are making this life-changing decision. Some will shock you, others will make you question your own choices, and by the end, you might even start thinking about your next move. Let's dive in. Number 1. Skyrocketing housing prices. In cities like Sydney and Melbourne, buying a home has become a distant dream for many. The median house price in Sydney recently soared past $1.6 million, and Melbourne isn't far behind. Even renting is getting out of hand, with average weekly rents jumping by more than 20% in just the past 2 years. For many Aussies, their income simply can't keep up. The result? Financial stress, sleepless nights, and growing frustration. Think about it. Working full-time, saving every cent, and still not being able to afford a modest home in the city you grew up in. It's no wonder people are calling it quits and heading to regional towns, where house prices can be less than half the cost, and quality of life is often better. When the cost of a one-bedroom apartment in the city can get you a 4-bedroom home with a backyard in the country, the choice starts to feel obvious. This housing crisis isn't just about money, it's about hope, stability, and the Australian dream of home ownership slipping away. Young families are being priced out. Older generations are cashing out. And many are looking for a fresh start, somewhere more affordable, more peaceful, and less financially draining. If the biggest cities can no longer offer basic security, people will find it elsewhere, and that's exactly what they're doing. Number 2. Overcrowded infrastructure. Living in a big city used to mean better access to everything: jobs, hospitals, schools, and entertainment. But today, it feels more like a daily battle. Australia's largest cities are bursting at the seams, with roads clogged, trains packed to the brim, and essential services stretched to their limits. The infrastructure simply can't keep up with the population growth, and the cracks are showing. Imagine spending 2 hours a day just commuting to and from work. That's 10 hours a week, nearly an entire day, lost to traffic jams and train delays. And it's not just transport. Public hospitals are under pressure, schools are overflowing, and even simple appointments, like seeing a GP, can mean waiting weeks. People are tired of feeling like just another number in an overworked system. This constant overcrowding takes a toll on mental health, relationships, and overall quality of life. It's exhausting, frustrating, and for many, no longer worth it. That's why so many are heading to regional areas where roads are quieter, schools have space, and life simply moves at a more human pace. These places may lack the flashy skyscrapers, but they offer something much more valuable: room to breathe. As city infrastructure buckles under pressure, the dream of convenience is becoming a daily struggle. And more people are deciding they've had enough. Number 3. Cost of living crisis. It's not just housing that's becoming unbearable. Everything is getting more expensive. From groceries and petrol to electricity and basic healthcare, the cost of living in Australia's major cities is hitting record highs. A simple trip to the supermarket can now cost double what it did just a few years ago. And with inflation outpacing wage growth, many families are finding themselves stretched thinner than ever. Take electricity bills, for example. Some households are now paying over $500 a quarter just to keep the lights on and the heater running. Add in rising childcare fees, school expenses, and skyrocketing insurance premiums, and suddenly, even a decent paycheck doesn't go far. It's not just about luxuries anymore. People are struggling to afford essentials. Living in the city was once seen as a symbol of success, but now it's becoming a financial trap for many. Even small comforts, like dining out or going to the movies, have turned into rare treats instead of regular outings. This constant financial pressure is pushing families to the brink and forcing them to make tough decisions. That's why more and more Australians are opting to move to smaller towns or regional areas where the cost of living is significantly lower. Groceries are cheaper, rent is affordable, and there's a chance to actually save money each month. In the face of this economic squeeze, walking away from big city life is starting to look less like a risk and more like a smart escape. Number 4. Climate change and natural disasters. Australia has always had a harsh climate, but in recent years, things have gone from tough to terrifying. Massive bushfires, record-breaking floods, heat waves that last for days, and unpredictable storms are becoming the new normal. And guess where many of these disasters hit the hardest? Major urban areas like Sydney, Brisbane, and even outer Melbourne suburbs are increasingly in the danger zone. In 2020, the Black Summer bushfires scorched over 24 million acres of land, destroyed thousands of homes, and left parts of Sydney blanketed in toxic smoke for weeks. Then came the floods. Cities like Brisbane and Lismore were submerged, displacing thousands. Insurance companies are raising premiums or pulling out of disaster-prone areas entirely, leaving homeowners exposed and anxious. Climate change is no longer some distant problem. It's here, now, and it's directly affecting where people feel safe to live. Many city dwellers are now reassessing their surroundings, not just for comfort, but for survival. They're asking, is this place safe for my children? Can I rebuild again if disaster strikes? This growing climate anxiety is pushing people to relocate to areas less exposed to these extremes, higher ground, inland towns, and cooler regions where the risks are lower. It's not just about chasing better weather, it's about protecting their future, their health, and their peace of mind. As the environment becomes more hostile, the idea of staying put in disaster-prone cities is beginning to feel less like loyalty and more like gambling. Number 5. Job market shifts and the rise of remote work. Not long ago, if you wanted a solid career, you had to be in the city. Offices, high-rises, business hubs, that's where the jobs were. But then came the pandemic and everything changed. Remote work exploded across Australia, and suddenly people realised they didn't need to live in the city to earn a good income. Now, with stable internet and flexible work policies, more Australians are choosing lifestyle over location. Why deal with sky-high rents and crushing commutes when you can work from a peaceful coastal town or a quiet country community? Even major companies are now hiring remote positions, offering the same salaries with none of the geographic limits. This shift has given workers a new kind of freedom, one that city life simply can't compete with. Young professionals are buying homes in regional areas, starting families in quieter neighbourhoods, and finally achieving work-life balance. And retirees? They're cashing out their city homes and moving somewhere slower, sunnier, and stress-free. The job market has evolved, but city life hasn't. That mismatch is driving people away. No longer chained to a desk in a downtown office, Australians are rethinking everything, including where they want to live. As remote work becomes the new normal, millions are realizing they no longer need to live in the city to make it in the city. We put hours of research and care into videos like this to keep you informed and inspired. If you found this eye-opening, do us a small favor. Hit that subscribe button. It's just one click, but it means the world to us. And hey, what would you do if you could live and work anywhere? Drop your answer in the comments below. Number 6. Quality of life in regional areas. While big cities boast skyscrapers, trendy cafes, and endless events, they often come at a high personal cost. Noise, crowds, stress, and that constant rush. In contrast, regional Australia offers something increasingly rare in city life: balance. And more Australians are waking up to it. Smaller towns and regional centres are attracting a wave of new residents with their slower pace, friendlier communities, and affordable living. Imagine walking your kids to school without traffic noise, buying fresh produce from a local market, or enjoying weekends in nature instead of fighting for a parking spot. These simple joys are becoming powerful motivators for city dwellers craving more meaning and less chaos. And it's not just about peace and quiet. Regional areas are catching up fast. With better infrastructure, upgraded schools, modern healthcare, and faster internet, the old disadvantages of country living are fading. In fact, many towns now offer all the essentials without the overwhelm. People are trading cramped apartments for spacious homes with backyards. They're replacing long commutes with quality time. They're finding not just more space, but more life in their day-to-day. This isn't just a move, it's a lifestyle transformation. And once people experience that freedom, they often wonder why they didn't leave the city sooner. So while city skylines may still shine bright, it's the quiet charm of regional Australia that's stealing hearts and giving families, retirees, and young professionals a fresh start worth taking. Number 7. Urban crime and safety concerns. For many Australians, feeling safe in their own neighbourhood used to be a given. But in recent years, rising crime rates and growing social tensions in major cities have made that sense of security harder to come by. From petty theft and car break-ins to more serious incidents, urban areas, especially inner-city suburbs, are seeing an uptick in criminal activity that's putting families on edge. It's not just about statistics, it's about how people feel. Walking home at night, letting your kids play in the park, or even leaving your car parked on the street can cause anxiety for city residents. Add in public incidents, drug-related crime, and antisocial behaviour, and the result is a constant, low-level stress that wears people down over time. This rising unease is pushing more Australians to seek safer, more peaceful surroundings. Regional and suburban areas tend to have tighter-knit communities, where neighbours know each other and crime rates are significantly lower. For many, that sense of community trust is priceless. Parents, in particular, are rethinking city life. They want their children to grow up in environments where they can walk to school without fear and enjoy a childhood free from constant surveillance. And retirees, too, are leaving behind the stress of locked gates and security alarms in favour of open space and peace of mind. When safety becomes a question mark, people start looking for new answers. And increasingly, those answers are leading them out of the city. Number 8. Housing development pressures. Step into almost any major Australian city today, and you'll notice a common theme. Construction. High-rises replacing houses, cranes crowding skylines, and neighbourhoods being transformed almost overnight. While development promises growth, for many long-term residents, it's starting to feel more like invasion than improvement. Once quiet suburbs are now packed with apartment blocks. Streets that used to echo with kids playing are now shadowed by towering concrete. And with that comes more cars, more noise, and less green space. Trees are being cut down, local parks are shrinking, and the charm of old neighbourhoods is being replaced by dense, impersonal living. This rapid urban development doesn't just change the view, it changes the vibe. Communities feel less connected. Noise from ongoing construction becomes a daily frustration. Parking becomes a battle. And for many, the constant building brings with it a feeling of being pushed out of their own home turf. People are growing tired of living in a construction zone. They're seeking places where they can breathe, where nature still has a place, and where every open space isn't marked for the next apartment complex. That desire is leading them far from the cities, to towns and regions that still value land, quiet, and character. In the race to build bigger and higher, cities may be forgetting what made them livable in the first place. And for many Australians, that's the final push they need to leave it all behind. Number 9. Better state incentives and government grants. In a bid to relieve pressure on overcrowded cities and boost regional growth, several Australian states have begun offering generous incentives to encourage people to relocate. And it's working. From first home buyer schemes to relocation grants and tax breaks, these financial perks are giving families and individuals a powerful reason to move. Take Queensland, for example. The government offers thousands of dollars in grants for those willing to settle in regional areas, helping with housing, education, and even small business support. Tasmania and South Australia have launched similar programs, enticing skilled workers and young families with lower entry costs and long-term benefits. For many Aussies, especially first-time buyers or those looking to start over, these incentives can mean the difference between barely surviving in a capital city or thriving in a smaller, more affordable town. When combined with cheaper housing, lower living costs, and better work-life balance, the appeal becomes hard to ignore. It's not just about free money, it's about opportunity. Governments are actively investing in regional infrastructure, healthcare, education, and business ecosystems. This means more jobs, better services, and stronger communities for those who take the leap. With cost of living pressures rising and city life becoming more difficult by the day, these state-backed incentives are turning heads. And for many, they're the final nudge toward a new beginning. Number 10. Cultural and lifestyle mismatch. Once upon a time, life in Australia's biggest cities was considered the pinnacle of success, buzzing nightlife, career opportunities, and endless convenience. But today, more and more people are finding that city living just doesn't align with who they are or what they value anymore. There's a growing disconnect between modern urban culture and the kind of life many Australians actually want to lead. The hustle never stops in cities like Sydney or Melbourne. It's fast, competitive, and increasingly digital. While some thrive in that pace, many others are feeling drained, disconnected, and overwhelmed. They crave space, simplicity, and a slower rhythm, something cities no longer offer. Mental health challenges, burnout, and isolation are all on the rise, and people are starting to question, is this really worth it? Families are looking for places where kids can play outside safely, where weekends mean real rest, not errands in traffic. Young couples want affordable homes, a sense of community, and the freedom to explore creative or entrepreneurial paths. Retirees seek peace, nature, and friendly neighbors. And increasingly, all of them are realizing that city life no longer reflects their values. That's why so many are heading to smaller towns and regional areas, not just to escape, but to reconnect with nature, with people, and with a version of life that feels more real. When the city lifestyle starts to feel like someone else's dream, it makes perfect sense to start chasing your own. So, why are millions leaving Australia's biggest cities before 2026? It's not just one reason, it's a perfect storm. Sky-high housing costs, daily battles with traffic, rising crime, climate fears, and the sheer exhaustion of city life are all pushing people to their breaking point. But it's also about something deeper, a collective shift in values. Australians are waking up to what truly matters: space, time, safety, and connection. And for many, those things simply aren't found in high-rise apartments or packed city streets. Regional areas are no longer seen as a downgrade, they're the upgrade. With affordable homes, growing job opportunities, and better work-life balance, the so-called quiet life is starting to look like the smarter choice. As we move toward 2026, this trend is only expected to grow. Whether you're planning your own escape or just wondering what all the buzz is about, one thing is clear: the great urban exit isn't just a phase, it's a movement. Thanks for watching, and if you've ever dreamed of a different pace, a different place, maybe this is your sign.